Kathy will read it for me, but, you know, she's not, just to proofread, but.
I can't believe she wrote this.
I know. Report.
Knew that was the one before. Really? Maybe really coming. Mhm. All right, it is 7 p.m. We're gonna call the meeting to order. Before we begin, Tom, do you have any additions or amendments that you wanna make to the agenda?
Yes, my bad, when I was putting the agenda together, I forgot number 2 should be pledge of allegiance. My apologies. So then if we move numerically everything down from there.
Got you in that? All right. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did everybody get a chance to look through the special board meeting minutes from June 4th and also the regular board meetings from June 9th? Besides the addition of striking Julie's vote from the recommendations on the coaches for Melissa, is there any other changes that you guys can do? All right, do I have a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes from June 4th?
I'll make a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes from June 4th.
All right, one from Sarah, so got a second?
I'll second.
We got one from Billy. Public comment? Okay. Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Do I have a motion to approve the board meeting from, the regular board meeting from 6/9?
I will make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from 6/9.
All right, a motion from Sarah, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Marlon seconds. Do I have any public comment? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, PTSO report?
All right, geez.
So you get when you're involved in everything.
I know. Very roughly, because I have not had a whole lot of time to go through it in detail. From the fireworks stand, we deposited $17,277.90.
You said you.
$17,277.90.
Okay.
We spent $9,775.77 on fireworks. So roughly, that's a profit of $7,500. We use Square to run credit cards, so I haven't accounted for any of those fees, but it was taken out before the money was deposited into our account. So yeah,
Is that pretty typical then?
we did make less this year. I don't know how much of that had to do with the other fireworks stand that
Yeah, I saw that.
magically popped up. Yeah,
It's magic.
apparently, yes. So typically we do make closer to between 10 and 12. And then we did have a few holes in volunteers. Luckily, Logan was willing to fill in those holes, so he went down there and worked at the fireworks stand a decent amount. And then for next year, fireworks cost will probably go up. So when I went to pick up the fireworks this year, or when I went to pay for them and Todd picked them up, I was talking to Chase, the fireworks guy, and they, out of the big containers they ordered from China, they had only gotten one in before the tariffs hit, and then China shut everything down. So their other container wasn't even supposed to get here until sometime around now, much after the 4th. And then the tariffs will be applied to all of those fireworks. So the cost will go up next year, I'm sure. But they said that they would send out a list after they get the rest of them to see what they have, so everybody can kind of pre-plan what they wanna do for next year. So, yeah.
Awesome. Perfect, thank you. Do we have a staff representative report?
Just summer, so lots of emails between Tom and some of us to work on some things that are coming up, and excited for the school year to come.
Thank you. Derek, are you gonna be a student representative?
Okay. I'm sure they're enjoying their summer.
I can tell you Mac's working 6 days a week, so she's not.
Oh.
And she'll complain about it every day.
So just leave it until she gets her paycheck, and she doesn't complain.
All right. Is there any public comments for the chief? Jody, was there any public comments on the chief?
I don't see a sheet, so, oh, there it is, no.
Perfect. All right. Any communications?
Just as far as informational, we do have the bike event, I guess it's an annual thing, and it's this, it's 17th this week, so, you'll see campers out in the football field.
Tents and, yeah.
Tents and stuff, okay, that's who they are. And it was way cool, that's happened here. And then again, just, we have basketball camp, 28th through 31st, sponsored by Nathan Brown, and that's all I have for you.
28th through
31st.
31st. Why was I right, 21st? Okay. Now, how do you sign up for that?
There's a link online, I believe. Link
Is there?
online, there's
Okay.
stuff. I'll have them post it, probably got buried.
I don't have Facebook. I never see anything. But there's a link on our website?
I'll see if Laura can throw that on there.
Okay.
I bet you can.
Mac has Facebook, so I can have her go on
I'll
and.
talk to Laura too. I think she should be able to throw that on there just for a up and coming event or something.
Okay, yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other information?
No.
Perfect. Calendar of events. Ms. Kenzie.
I don't think we put it in. Would you like me to print that off for you?
I think you sent it in the email. It's fine. I don't think anything's probably changed since the last time.
Yeah, no, no.
Oh, I saw it. Okay. Yep. It's on the back. Page 7. All right, perfect. AD update?
Okay, real quick reminder that districts next year will be back to just the 13C, we're not combined. So we'll be small, not that many schools. Part of that, transfer, I guess, or the change was, we talked about doing a 9-team divisional tournament, so 3 out of 13, 3 out of 14, and 3 out of the 11, 12 down south. So the divisional tournaments for basketball will be imbued at the MAC, and it'll be a 9-team tournament, and then volleyball divisionals is back in Manhattan Christian for the divisionals. So, what is it, 6 teams? 3 of those teams that will be divisionals, for boys and girls. So again, that'll be a little bit different, and I'm sure next year they'll come up with something different.
Do you have the dates of those?
Basketball, I just got this since, so that's the end of February, February 25th through 28th for basketball, for divisionals, and be the first part of November for volleyball, because districts is always Halloween. And I think we still don't know that. Districts volleyball will probably be at Manhattan, at Valley Christian. We're still working that out, and then basketball districts, it's not solidified yet. I believe it's gonna be Frenchtown, but we're still working on details. The last month I was gone to that Class C caucus down in Butte, where basically all the Class C schools get together and we talk about all sorts of stuff, all the sports, all the different things, any possible proposals and things like that. So quick rundown on that as I go through. Cross country was talked about quite a bit. This will not take effect next year, but in the 26-27 year, they're actually gonna have a divisional meet for cross country. And then that'll narrow down how many teams actually go to state for cross country. And then individuals are also changing the times and things like that. They're lowering them again, lowering the standards to qualify for state. So they're putting together a committee to discuss that and get everything fine tuned this year. So that'll be one change in cross country. Football, there's that big shift in the realignments. So now we have like Valier and Box Elder in our division now this coming football season. So things will look a little bit different. Still 5 divisions and all that stuff, and 3 out of our division will go to state playoffs. So. Volleyball, nothing really changed on that. State is still planned to be in Bozeman. There's lots of discussion about the prices of hotel rooms down in Bozeman because it gets ridiculous. So the city of Bozeman, I guess it would be, is trying to work that out with the hotels to try to offer better things, but they're also conflict with so many other things down there. I think there was FHA and all sorts of, there's a lot of different things going on that same weekend, so.
It's cheaper to stay in Belgrade.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll do a lot of times with
Yeah,
volleyball tournaments.
and a lot of them do, and I think anytime we had something going on in the Bozeman area, it was always Belgrade we tried to secure for that kind of stuff. No changes to wrestling. They did, other than they upped the match limit, which doesn't affect us. Basketball, there was a proposal to move the state tournament back to a 3-day tournament instead of 4, but that was not passed. There's still a lot of discussion about doing a 12-team divisional and state tournament, which for Class C, I think would be nice because percentage-wise, you can compare it to B and A and AA. We have a very low percentage of representation at those levels. We got between 80 and 90 high schools competing for those very few spots, and the AA, well, almost all of them go because there's not that many schools. So there's some discussion on that still going. That's what, 3 years in the discussion, I guess. Nothing in golf that really pertains to anything. I think that was about it. It was kind of quiet. There was just some talk. The big one was the 12-team divisional and state tournament, and then cross-country changing some things, and then we already knew about football. So that was the gist of everything in the meeting down there. So, yeah. I just got this today. I'll shoot out an email to share. Actually, I won't, because they're still reviewing it. It's just a bracket for a 9-team divisional tournament. Okay, it just looks a little different, so more games. Other than that, that's really all I have for an update.
When does volleyball and football start practice?
August, get the date right. be Friday, August 15th. I had tentatively put down on the calendar a parent meeting on the 14th that night to get all those done. And then there was some talk about on the 12th in the evening having an all coaches meeting, just to get all coaches on the same page, so. The 12th in the evening, well, the time has not been set yet, but I'm sure it'll be evening, 5:30, 6 o'clock, to accommodate work schedules. Parent meeting, same thing, usually we go about 5:30 or 6. Parent meeting on the 14th, practices start on the 15th, and school on the 18th, so junior high will get started on the 18th for those. Cool. Yeah, so it'll be a busy week. And the gym floor will be working on the 1st of August, given that it's 2 weeks before the practices start, so right after the camp, they'll probably get going on that. Can't think of anything else. So I'm putting in for a grant to pay for equipment that we needed for football for junior high, because all the football helmets got rejected because they're beyond their 10-year lifespan. And since we haven't had junior high in many years, so I'm putting in a grant. We've got them in right now, so we have the equipment to get them going, but I'll put in a grant to get that paid for, so I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, that's all I got for update.
Recommendations on coaches?
So you have 2 applicants, one for the junior high football coach and one for the assistant. For the junior high football coach, Derek Perez, and his assistant would be Art McCaffrey.
Perfect. And only 2 applicants for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do I have? The words aren't working today. Would anyone like to make a motion on Derek Perez and Art McCafferty?
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, Billy for first. Do I have a second? Seconded. Julie seconds. Do you have any public comment? Board comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
All right. We still have a list of things to do. Okay. You wanna go over the positions advertised?
Yeah, I talked to Curtis and I talked to Michelle to pick their brain if they knew of anybody that they had heard from. They had a couple ideas, they're gonna reach out to a couple people, but I haven't heard anything yet. So, they do have, we still have another board meeting before that season gets rolling, but, so, and the other ones, I do have one applicant for high school assistant boys basketball. Other than that, I don't have anything. That's it. So I'll retype this and get it hung up real quick and repost it, so it's just updated.
Sounds good, thank you. Clerk report?
Okay, well, so the fiscal year end is complete, thank goodness, and we are also balanced with Lewis and Clark treasurer. So we're spot on, which is great. And then, I've been working with Carol, she's been training me on that process. And, just going over a few key points with her since she's not here. The budget was already spent before we got to the year end, as we had a $200,000 deficit to start. So her quotas had closed out the best that we could. Some purchases were that we normally pay in June had to be moved to July to kind of, make that happen. And then we had $936 left in the general fund, and there will be no money to reappropriate from the general fund. I know that typically she would, put some money in the interlocal fund, things like that. So we had to spend $4,000 out of technology fund, $3,953 out of the flex fund, and $125,000 out of the interlocal fund for this year, just to get us current. Because I think when she started, it was like negative over $300,000. So her and Kathy, with my little bit of help, just more support, they, did a lot of work. So, and I know that Carol talked a lot about she's never been negative, ever. And, so she wasn't a part of that last year where it was negative. So it was really important to her to move forward to not be in the negative. Unfortunately, due to a glitch with OPI, which is sad because she worked so hard, we are in the negative by 11 to 12,000 because they had a glitch in their system. We put our cash request in on time, but their payment system had a glitch. So we didn't receive those funds until after, the close of the year. So like that very next week. So it's pretty, it was hard for her, but she worked with our auditor and we got an email from him confirming that we won't get a ding on our audit because of that. So, which was great. So she's already thinking ahead. And then, so moving forward, Carol and I will continue to work on the 25-26 budget. With Carol training me, we plan to present it at the board meeting in August for approval. So that's kind of the next phase of what we're going to be working on. And then also the trustees report. We're going to do that and then present that in August too. And then I attended the MASBO conference with Sarah a little bit. And, it was a great experience. A lot bigger than I had anticipated. And yeah, there's a lot to learn still. Anyway, we are in full swing with the summer food service program. We are currently serving 20 families, totaling 48 children. And it seems like everyone's coming on time, every week, which is great. We have, the last day is that first Wednesday in August. And then we just, at the end of June, we completed traffic education. Mr. Pierce was kind enough to come back this year. He kind of referenced that he may be interested in next year if we can't find anyone. So.
We can, we'll just sign it up. Perfect.
Okay, good. Well, yeah. So, and we had 10 students who completed the course, and we submitted the final reports and reimbursement request to OPI. And then I'm working with Tom to get him and Sarah to get signed up with Chris, the criminal investigation thing for fingerprints and background checks. I think you guys got emails, but and then continue to work through staff and employee files to get them organized. So that's all I have right now.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So we have to approve the signature change of.
Oh gosh, sorry.
Nope, I got you, girl, I got you.
I was done now.
No, it's next on the agenda.
I'll roll it. To change the Citizens Alliance activity account signers, we're gonna remove Kathy and Tom, and add Tom, sorry, not gonna remove you before we add him. So we just need a motion for that to get that completed. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve signature change to include Tom and remove Kathy.
All right, I got a first from Marlene, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Billy seconds, do you have any public comment? Or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
And then I just contact you guys in an email. Is that right?
Yeah, so just the meeting minutes, we'll take the meeting minutes and just get that adjusted.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Okay, awesome. Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Superintendent update, it's all you.
All right, superintendent report. First, I'd just like to thank everyone, that includes all of you, and Darcy and Sarah, and Derek and Gabe, who I get to see every day, and but including Shane, Laura, and Joni, and it's just been thanks for welcoming me to not only the school but to Lincoln as well. And I gotta tell you, it's just every day you're exponentially learning about the community, about everything. Small towns, it's fun, it's interesting, and how you guys do business and how I can be a part of that. So again, thank you. Please don't freak out about the thickness of this month's packet. We tried to limit that, but you do have a few handbooks in there, so they tend to take up space. So I did make the executive decision to go front and back, because even our industrial staple.
And
rules
an
have got-
email from you, do I have to print this out
Yeah,
myself?
I saw that, I was like, no, please don't.
It's important to me, to take this time to start learning, on the relationship between the governing board and superintendent, and how you'd like to see business done, and direct me, to do so. First of all, communication with you guys. We have to, it's not hard, but, be wary not to violate, board, a board act or what have you, and stuff like that. So when I communicate with you guys outside of, this forum, it's completely just to get information to you. Hey guys, you need this information. So if it's okay, I will text you to then just, unless it's a simple text, like meeting tonight at 7. But typically, if I'm gonna communicate something like informational, I will just text and say, please check your district email, if that's okay. That's kind of what I'm used to. And it's also, I think you have to have board meetings in which we're always looking to get better as a governance team. And so we always take a few minutes on, like reviewing what's current, what's going on, what we do well here, what we could get better at. I think the resources that you'd see, like with the Montana School Board Association, I was literally sitting there going, where are the board policies? And I go, huh. And I went online, and they're just sitting there. All our policies are sitting there online. Typically that would take up, a binder about that big. So, great resources. I think training for experienced and new board members is always, very, valuable, because your guys' role as, the governing body and oversight of policy is really what drives us and stuff. So just a few things that I've learned in a short time. One, I sat here and we're in a financial austerity mode. It's very evident. I am one of this personally, it's just like, let's always be in that mode, because then we're always safe, kind of like but it's obvious that the number one priority here, because I always say, even if we're in an austerity mode, there's always money. It's just how we choose to divvy it out. It's what we prioritize. One of the things I just think is fantastic is how we prioritize class sizes. And there are no splits this year as far as grade levels. You do not see combined classes. And that's pretty cool. As well as maintaining CTE programs, music, art, physical education, and that's pretty neat and stuff. So that's not something I'm used to. That's not the way it's done, but it's just by looking at the master schedule and looking at how many students, and that is something that I'm going to really work on staff is if and I've spoken to, and I just get people nodding, yes, absolutely, Tom, then let's celebrate it, but let's take advantage of it, because the power of what we can do. I won't bore you with some of the studies out there, but really we need to be targeting our instructional strategies based on 10 students rather than 20, because it looks very different on how, and if you take your instructional strategies for what you had for 24 students and you implement that same strategy with 10, when you get to your testing data, you won't see much of a difference. But if you take advantage of only having 10 students and really implement kind of the strategies that are proven that work with those class sizes, it can be really powerful. And so I think it's great, and stuff. So until I hear differently, I go that's pretty neat. I would like to occasionally take some deep dives into like how we do things on specific topics if you have anything like you'd like me to come back, and say, give you guys some informations, but just, you know, how do we do this? Like, you know, like I was looking at, where is it written how we, you know, choose our valedictorian, you know, and stuff. I can't find it. I don't, but we have past practice, but maybe is that something we'd like to really define really well, you know, kind of thing, which I've seen in different districts. So, you know, just let me know, because I'll make it very clear to staff and students, I'm only as good as, you know, like our master agreement and our handbooks. And that's what I'll go off as kind of like my guidance within this district to work with. We can always change those, but a lot of times that comes after maybe a situation happens, and that's what I'll be looking for. Big thing I'm working right now is getting ready for our PRI days. I'll also call them in-service days, because that's what I'm used to calling them, but our PRI days will be Thursday and Friday, the 14th and 15th. You know, typically, they're right before school starts. You know, they're just right there. Definitely new guy in town, so there'll be a lot of going over procedural things and me understanding how things work and, you know, like what my expectations. But when I say that, that's a two-way street. You know, just like what does staff expect me to do in certain, you know, situations is what I'm used to doing, but what would they like to see? So really getting, you know, we'll be going obviously just the nuts and bolts is how this place runs. You know, what's it look like? You know, and where the kids dropped off. I still gotta figure that out from the buses, you know, so like how they come in. So that's how new I am. Sarah and I were kind of, you know, working on just updating our safety procedures and our safety kind of manual, our crisis management manual that we have. So I'll be bringing some of that back, and also, you know, like last meeting when I was here, you know, we had a bullying issue that happened, you know, so that will definitely be a part of, you know, our conversation is how does that look like, and how do we deal with it here so we can clearly communicate, and what do we do, because I'm hearing we do a lot of good things. We won't stamp it out, it will always be there, but I think, you know, how are we really being on top of things so that we can, you know, really work with students on resolving conflicts prior to it escalating to those levels. We talked about expenditures. I just got to let you know, like I said, I'll probably always look at it. Do we really need that? You know, what are we getting for that? Sometimes you'll have mandated expenditures. I signed some invoices, you know, and $132,000. So I immediately block out, what's this? But that's our K-12 technology support. What was it last year? I don't know, 31,000, you know, so that's, okay, that's what those services cost, you know, and things. But like one thing we've been working on is, you guys brought it up last year, I want to, generally, you guys set the budget and then we work within that budget and then you'll approve our expenditures. One thing that got brought up last year, I was listening to all the, you know, geeking it out and listening to all the board meetings, is, you know, a system that would allow us to do a mass text in case of emergency, or you know, send out a voice message or an email. Really pretty darn standard things in districts nowadays, and well, we got a phone tree and stuff, but like if we have a situation, if we did have to go, we had like a medical lockdown, you know, we wanted all the kids to stay in the classrooms so a medical issue could happen. Kids have phones, they'll contact their parents, and then we'll be inundated with phone calls, and really we need to spend our, you know, time and efforts on making sure, you know, our kids are safe. So how do we quickly get information out there? What you were looking at was north of $3,000. Oh, really, you know, and so Sarah and I were really looking at it closely, and we got kind of deeper in that conversation. It's like, what do we really wanna use it for? This is saying, hey, it'll send out lunch notices and do all these things, because it's really integrated into another system on top of that. We hopefully got kind of interested in one that, you know, I think we can easily keep under 1,000. And so that got so I'll be coming. That's one thing I think we'd like to start the year with, you know, so I'll be coming back. I think we could probably get it all in place, have a board meeting, have it officially approved. But with that being said is, I don't like to have special board meetings, and, you know, we do have business that needs to happen between board meetings, and so, you know, as long, hey, one board member, just don't screw up, Tom, okay. But it's just like, you know, I don't like spend, I don't like to spend money, but we have to meet student needs too. So, just so that you guys understand it. One cool thing is Darcy and Sarah thought it was a great idea, and we have two bankers on our thing, but, my wife is not technologically inclined, and it's not a passion of mine, but simply one of those square readers that you attach to a phone, and we were doing like a senior grad night fundraiser at our kids' high school, and it was completely not school related, you know, it's not affiliated, and, you know, we figured it out, and it's really makes sense. So if we could figure out the kinks, that we could utilize it like concessions, if we could utilize it at gates, and have that money into accounts,
And
for-
Sarah uses it, she can.
I do, we use Square at the fireworks
Oh,
stand.
okay,
So
yeah,
maintenance-
that's right, Sarah,
Pretty
yeah,
easy
yeah.
to integrate.
And so
I can help if you want.
That would be
I'll
great.
probably call around and see if other schools are using it, as like, cause you know, like, it's out there in the ether, is it going where it's supposed to go, and is it, you know, the security of things and stuff, but I thought that was pretty neat. So just finally, a couple, well, death is never good news. However, it was supposed to be tomorrow, but it got changed to last week of the month, so we're gonna scramble to get a district representative there. It was gonna be me tomorrow, cause it's in Great Falls, because there's a reading of an individual by the name of James H. Timerson. And did you call him Jim?
Yep.
Okay, so, who has no heirs, and he is giving his assets to the community of Lincoln, and he's divided it up, between the rodeo grounds, there's the food bank, and the library, and us. 45% to us, and 18 and change to those other three. So, thank you, Mr. Timerson. I will ask you guys when this becomes official. I'll, you know, put together, you know, what it entails. He is asking that we use it for student equipment. Those are the restrictions placed on that and stuff. So, again, thank you, Mr. Timerson. We will make sure, you know, one, we go through the proper procedures to accept a donation. I've already reviewed our, you know, accepting donations from the public and things, and also then we'll get it out in our newsletter thanking him, even if he has no heirs. But then also come start to meet with staff and things and come up with a plan based upon. But that's kind of exciting because that's gonna be. And last, you know, I told some staff the other day, August 18th for Faith School is gonna be a perfect day. And I'll say this, I want this to be a perfect meeting. It's not going to be, I already spaced the Pledge of Allegiance. However, our effort is to be perfect every day in everything we do, just so that if the first day is perfect, we're not gonna get there, but we're gonna try, and it'll be close enough, so hopefully, you know, we can handle anything that, you know, because those darn kids always mess up perfect plans, as you guys know. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I look forward to next month and getting ready for school.
You can blame me for the pledge.
Yeah, no,
I'm sidetracking you, it's fine. Any questions? Perfect, thank you. Great update. And welcome aboard. Don't leave.
Pardon me?
I said, welcome aboard,
Oh,
don't
thank
leave.
you.
All right,
Got you.
all right, so old business. How are you?
Pardon me?
Said you got old business, do
Okay.
you have a recommendation?
So I have a recommendation for Shane Brown for the athletic director position at Lincoln School.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend Shane Brown as athletic director.
All right, we have a motion from Billy, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Amanda seconds. Public comment? Board comment?
Are we gonna think about getting an assistant for Shane, or do you think you
That's-
need an assistant? Is that-
That's actually next on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, we were looking ahead. Okay. And I know that we had some questions, I think that was the reason that we had tabled it, was that there was questions for Shane that we were hoping to get answered prior to making our final decision. Now I gotta look back at the meetings, our minutes, unless anybody can think of them off the top of their head.
Part of it was, so if we have an assistant AD, does that change, change the AD's wage? I mean, is it a volunteer position, is it what?
Actually. Thank you.
I don't think this was talked about last time, but I have a question. Do you have any type of documentation or notes on how you typically do things, like any type of like, I call them cheat sheets, like for my job?
I have a document that has been typed up, yes.
Or like list of contacts or
Well, there
anything? kind of-
is AD contact sheets, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are available. And then the Montana High School Association sends out a booklet with all the numbers and contacts throughout the state.
Oh, gotcha.
As far as the, to do things, I have a general, like, in the fall, we're doing these things. and
Like a
yeah.
calendar of when you do what or whatever.
It's like early September or end of August, I'm hunting down concessions, people to take on visits, stuff like that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Updating schedules and, which is now GoFan, not, or it's, sorry, it's Arbiter now. They changed again, I forgot to add that to the update, they changed the whole website thing. Used to be Dragonfly and that's gone now, after we just got done doing that, so I'll have to update my thing that you're talking about, the cheat sheet thing.
Yeah.
To update that.
I just, with the things that have gone on this year with like my grandma dying and my aunt, like
Mhm.
it has become a very big realization to me that like nobody is guaranteed any amount of time,
Yeah.
which sounds super morbid. But I know like before I left for North Carolina, I had just started in my sewer district job for like 2 weeks. And I made like notes before I left and gave them to Chris and said, in case I have a plane crash, like here's the basic of how you take payments and print statements. Like that'll at least get you through what you need to do.
Mm.
So I was just curious if you had like some type of document
Yeah, I'd say
made
it's,
up that if,
I'd say it's a skeleton, I wouldn't say it's
Yeah.
majorly detailed, but it's,
right,
there's enough there you could navigate through things.
So like the question, and I didn't have the answer, because I'll try not to use the excuse of I'm new, but, Shane, is there a, job description for the athletic director position here?
Mhm.
Okay, then I'll have to I'll have to go find it. However, we know job descriptions are gonna be fairly broad in their terms. And I think what you're referencing is like, and I know Shane and myself, I believe if, you know, we have a football game tonight, you know, you have like a mental checklist, you know, of da-da-da-da. And it's very nice when you have something in case something happens, but literally a checklist, you check off that, you know, I've got the gate covered, I've got, you know, guys in the booth, I've got, you know, chain gang going, I've got, you know, water out, you know, it's, you know, variety, you know, things. So, you know, I've got keys ready for the assistant coach, whatever the protocols are at that district. So,
I personally am a very like paper-oriented person, and like when I was at Safeway, I made what I called like the bookkeeping Bible, and it was literally step by step on everything, like counting tills, entering inventory, like all of it. And I just think it's helpful for, like, if there's a family emergency and you have to dip out, like my mom was gone for a month and a half to Florida, like, at least there's something that somebody can use to fill in
Right.
as needed.
I know that we discussed last year, but I don't know if it is happening. I was gonna ask, are we doing letters of intent for the coaches who wish to come back? Or how are we?
I honestly spaced, I remember it now, that you brought it, I remember the conversation, I didn't remember it at the time when we were doing evaluators, and like, for me, it was a rehire or not, and they're all rehires, but for me, and then just verbal communication like I have done, I spaced out that conversation, so I didn't implement that. The time frame has come up again, like when do you do it? And like this year was different than any other, because we pushed everything so late, but, because of budget and things like that. And the only thing I've run across when we talk about, do we 2 months after fall's done, do we do those coaches, or sometimes coaches need a little more time just to digest the season and decide. That was the only thing I've come across in talking to coaches. Like if we were to recommend volleyball's done in November-ish, like the December meeting, we're gonna recommend rehires or January or something. Sometimes they are not quite ready to commit, I guess.
Yeah, would it make more sense to do it sometime around like teacher negotiations? They have so much time to where they put in, you know, they have to put in their resignation, so it makes sense if that way we have enough time to look for coaches, but also
Right.
we know who's set for the next year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them came in really late this year, the resignations. I think most of them came in at the end of most of them came in the last couple of months.
So can we put a time frame on that too, kind of, as well? And then that way you're not scrambling also, maybe
Because-
less stress.
Cause that's where we're at right now, kind of.
Yeah.
set time.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think-
this kind of segues a bit, but I had asked Shane today and I'll ask you, you know, I don't need a formal, you know, like agenda item to, you know, direct us, I would just bring it back to you as such, but as I get the reason for holding off on lots of things, you know, till the June meeting. But we didn't finish the June meeting with an approved athletic director, and I was slightly panicked, because, you know, it's a lot to do it well, and to do it, you know, comprehensively and thoroughly. But number two, is there any reason why all the coaches come in at the end? Could we do it X amount of time after the season of sports? So then we're hopefully just left with, you know, the spring sports. And, okay, we still have some openings in track. I'm comfortable with that right now, you know, kind of thing. And so, if it's not because, well, if it was truly the austerity plans, like, well, are we talking about not having a sports program, you know, kind of thing? I mean, it would be that sort of serious. So, valid is, I think, fairly quickly, within a couple weeks of the end of the season, you can have the evaluation for. If it's positive, I believe, then that triggers a recommendation if they so choose to come back. But I agree with Shane, I think a 2 months time, sometimes I gotta check with the family, it's a lot of time away, I've gotta check with my employers, because a lot of times, we have folks that we would send a thank you to all our employers who would help facilitate, employee schedules, to help us out and stuff, so but yeah, I think, like a 2-month, give it some people say, oh yeah, I'm coming back, we got it right there, then we can come and do the formality, hopefully just the formality at that point. And so then we're not dealing with all of them, especially if there's issues, we can deal with issues, on the front end and not, scramble at the end.
I think in just a quick, Joni can help me, I think just the basic understanding is, as a school, you wanna hire your staff, and you wanna hire your aides, and then then we'll hire a coach. I think there's no other reason other than that, really, why it's so late. I think in the step, if you look at the months traditionally, how you hire your tenured staff, non-tenured aides, and then you go with coaches, and then, I think, for no lack of any other reason, I think that's just it, that's the only reason. But you do have to have coaches, so I guess, hasn't really been looked at differently, it's just the way it's always been done, I guess.
So maybe that's kind of how we would roll with it, is do the evaluation and then give them a couple months maybe to think about it
Yeah.
after the evaluation, and then ask if they plan to do a letter of intent at that time, and then do the recommendation.
Or just at the evaluation time, let them know that if you intend to take this up again the next year, have your letter of intent in by such and such time. And we talked about it one time, and I don't know, I can't remember how that came out, advertising 3 year for each position, just so it's there, and if they get their letter in, well, that's easy, they don't have to go through an interview. But if they don't, then we're just assuming that they're not interested in being back the next season.
Really, if it's not turned in by that point, it's forcing the hand to then fly it, which they always have the right to, apply, oh, man, space to live in, but, we have to move forward.
Right.
But it just kind of keeps things rolling
Yeah.
forward and.
And we're not slamming you guys to process all these things at once,
Yeah. All right, any other board comments?
I was thinking about it, but I was just gonna say that I understand the reasoning for waiting to do the hires till June or whatever, but I think it would be helpful for coaches to receive their evaluation like immediately after the season or within a couple weeks, so that they know right away if there were any issues or if they are available for rehire, so they have that time to think about it. Instead of, like 6 months later, 8 months later, like, hey, we're gonna hire you again, like just to give that feedback sooner rather than later, while everything is fresh.
Any other board comments? All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Alright, motion carried. Oh, sorry, we jumped ahead with your,
Alright.
we didn't turn the page.
It's because I did front and back on
Can we start
Oh,
this one?
okay. Discussion on assistant AD, that got brought up last time, we tabled it, bring it back, Jane wasn't here, so, couldn't address it. I think people thought about it, I've had a few conversations of, potentially what that could look like, and, one, is like, what would they do, those were some of the discussions, and stuff, so I think there's some good ideas. Is there necessarily a need? I honestly don't know, I'm too new to know that. Schools this size, I'd be surprised if you had it. However, if we got in the, you know, like, hopefully Shane will consider me as an assistant, you know, because I have a background there and, you know, we can work together. Sarah in the office is a huge assistant to my position, Derek in his position, and Gabe, you know, but I think it's a great conversation, and I think any time that we may have situations where, you know, we should always acknowledge, is the workload just too much and I'll be looking at all our positions to say, is that really, you know, it's gonna degrade our ability to serve kids, if that's true. So, you know, with that being said, I'd like to continue, you know, my recommendation is continue, you know, discussion is possibly what that will look like. Next year's master schedule has Shane having 7th period as his AD position, which is shocked that that's very typical, that you would have the AD, hopefully, you know, is a full-time staff member, and that's preferable. I've never seen it not, you know, work if they weren't, because the job comes to you and starts and stops, so you don't get to predict it. And then 2 is, you know, having a teaching load, having that period set aside. So I was really appreciative of Kathy being able to work that out with the master schedule and offer that. So that's kind of my feedback is to, you know, yeah, I think, you know, like, what is there and what could it look like, you know, kind of thing. So.
Well, I think even getting back to like Sarah's recommendation of having more of like an AD Bible to push forward, I think that would make me feel better in case Shane ever were to be like, I can't do this anymore, there's so much going on. And then that way we have that to help the next person coming up. I think that the need for the assistant AD is more so to start training somebody to eventually move into that position when Shane decides that he doesn't, you know, or can't do it any longer. But if you guys could all work together, I would feel more comfortable with that outcome.
And I think some of that's kind of maybe a little bit different conversation, because I think we should, every single position we should have here, you guys will be transitioned at some point, you know, and what do we have there that, you know, you know, it's just that the continuity is so important and stuff. So assistant to, you know, help with the current workload, and sometimes you know they can mesh a little bit, but also, you know, is the bigger picture kind of already looking at it, you know, what are we doing, you know, for the, you know, that cross training, you know, transition, you know, piece, so we have people, you know, who have the skills there, because right now, I literally would be panicked if we were trying to train a new AD, because you
Right.
someone you'd have to do it all, you know, as they learn it and stuff. So, in this, just using that as an example.
I guess I also feel like having an assistant, because we currently have an AD who also coaches, like, that's a lot. If he's coaching a football game, he can't go deal with another issue that may or may not happen that needs his attention. So an assistant would be able to do that, so he can focus on coaching. Like, if we're in a divisional game and something else happens, he can't walk away from what he's doing. Which would be, I think, helpful, and a load off of you, I would think, like, knowing that you can just focus on the things you need to focus on and not have to worry about all of the other behind the scenes admin stuff while you're in basketball season.
Well, I know, that's why we came up with a game supervisor several years ago, was to address that, when I'm coaching, who does it, so the game supervisor did, and Patsy Martin did it for many years before she passed away, and it's kind of sloughed off to different entities, the superintendent, and then Derek's helped out quite a bit in different occasions, depending on what scenario, like football, he's always taking care of the referees. Gabe is, basketball's been helping with referees, and superintendent's been helping just get them to the locker room. So in those little instances. The prep period, I've only had it for half of a year once in all the years I've ever done it. And it got filled, so I had to teach that period halfway through the year, but most schools have that prep period to allow them to do stuff, and having it the last period that's when all the setup is for your junior high games and things like that, and I think that's pretty huge. And then pigtailing on what you were saying about your little Bible, your go-to book, it's been started and it's on a flash drive, and I have the what to do, and then I have folders of, here's your main documents, your training rules, I have the AD contact sheet in a folder and all those things, so.
And so much of it, I think, is communication, it is just because I think it's brought up, this is clearly, when Shannon and I sit down and have a coaches meeting, this is what this is what you're gonna expect from me, this is what the AD job, and this is what, coach's responsibility. And I don't disagree, small schools, I've never known an AD who didn't also coach, and so, we're fortunate that Shane's coaching too, but then it's also, I've had that a lot, and, you always have to have when the, contest is happening, you have to have the designee to handle that, because their priority has to be, coaching. We're very fortunate that we have people, I was very happy to hear that it wouldn't always just fall to me. But, when it comes to especially a divisional thing is you have to have administrative support there. That might come in the form of Shane if he's not coaching, but if he is, then it has to be me, because there's an expectation among schools at that point is, when we travel on just a regular season game, we, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't send an additional administrative support, correct?
Only to tournaments.
Yeah, just, and then when you go to tournament, it kind of, ups that, kind of thing. But what is the coach's responsibility? What is the AD's responsibility? I know it got, brought up last meeting, that, maybe some confusion on meals. And that's great point, is always clean up so people know going in. And I had to learn the next day is what do we provide? I wasn't familiar with that, and it's okay, we don't provide anything if they're going to a game up at Sealy, but if we're going to, then, and make sure the parents know that, so. I'll tell you, so you're used to it, I'm not a big fan of 10 kids wanting to go 10 different places. It's nope, coach decides we're going here, or hey, team vote and majority wins, it's just that's where we're going, guys, and stuff, so. We do the best we can for the most, but, I could tell my boys in the morning when I'm making breakfast, I'm not sure what to cook either, so it's, anyway. To be continued?
I guess Shane, if you can think of, and maybe it'll be a long-term thing, 6 months from now, where you could see need for additional help. I know there is somebody willing to volunteer to make phone calls for you or run to the grocery store, but
Right.
just be kind of a general gopher, but.
Yeah, I had a couple ideas of people who are definitely ingrained in the sports here and on staff and things like that to possibly look at, and I've talked to them both, or two of them, and they're kind of, but their load last year, they had way too much on their plate to even consider thinking about it, so I think conversations like that can continue, and then figuring out how to make it work or how to make it meld together, and then figuring those things out. So the thing about scheduling is like 99% done, we're trying to fill a couple holes, so that's done already. Referees, once we get everything entered into this new platform thing, that's all done. And then it's just a couple little things. Finding game workers is probably the hardest thing, and that's what Patsy always, she would drag people. And that's kind of the one to go to. That's gonna be the hard one. I'll probably put out, seeking help downtown, because I need people to learn how to do clock and book and all those different things that, especially with football, I don't have anybody.
Remind me later and I'll get you Dave Brando's phone number. He would love to help. Like I think worked chains once last year, was going to work chains.
Okay.
But they go to pretty much all the home games and some of the away games.
Okay.
D&D.
So there'll be a few of those.
It's only
that-
Monday.
You just need line judges for volleyball sometimes are hard to come up with. It's just,
Can board members serve in that capacity?
yeah,
Cause I love line judging.
okay. Yeah, I think it has to be done through them.
So last time I was on the school board, I did all of the book for basketball and volunteered
Oh, yeah.
and didn't get paid for a couple of years. But then when we were doing policies, was it last summer?
Mm-hmm.
I think in there somewhere it said something about like extracurricular stuff like that. You could get paid, but I have to go back and find it, because I was very excited, because I was like, what, I could've gotten paid?
Yeah, cause you do a lot of books and that.
I do.
Thanks for getting on the board now.
Yeah, sorry.
Hopefully. But.
I mean, I don't mind volunteering some of my time, but if I could
Right.
get paid, that'd be super
Yeah.
cool. But I think I feel like there was something in there that alluded to the fact that you could, if it was like an extracurricular type.
I think
It
that's
might
worth
be in
looking
this
at.
packet.
Yeah,
Cause I was
just
reading
saw that.
something earlier today that,
Yeah, but it has to do with like board
Board
members, like getting paid from the school.
Oh, yeah,
But I think
that,
there was like some type of loophole somewhere. I'll have to
Okay.
look for it.
We're trying to find, yeah.
I can look too.
Like, I totally understand that not working in the school and getting paid, but I feel like an extracurricular thing.
So
any other comments on that section? Alright. New business. Right.
Oh,
I was just gonna roll with it.
So Great Divide Educational Services, I hope I say it right, but we contract with them for a lot of our special ed educational services. And if you so approve, I'll now be your representative.
Alright, do I have a motion to approve, Tom to be the district representative to Great Divide Educational Services?
I'll make a motion.
Alright, Billy has the first, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
It was rock, paper, scissors. Marlene seconds. Public comment? Board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. It's all yours. Right, and we have a master contract.
Do you guys have any questions? I asked a couple things to say between the master contract and the staff handbook. Again, like I said, I follow this, and if I can I will tell you how kinda I operate, but if you turn to page 7 of the master contract and maternity leave. Not to spend a lot of time on it, but if you really want entertaining reading, come back and tell me what this means, because upon the birth of a child, the employee will receive 16 days of paid maternity leave from the district. Great, I get that. If you get down to number 4, I have no clue what it means.
I was circled it,
Okay,
because I read every word and I'm like, this does not make a lot of sense.
so the good news was I got to chat with Joni and Travis, who were teacher negotiators
Mhm.
there, and, cause Travis and Kate, stopped by, and so hey, can you explain it? And they actually started laughing, and they go, yeah, so I think it might be one of those things where it's language we've had for a long time that we've kind of added to, and now no one really understands what it means. But the good news is it's primarily all in the maternity leave, and I don't have like an immediate thing. So I told Travis, who's the group, the association president, I go, okay, if we have a staff member who comes to us and, hey, I'm gonna need to go on maternity leave thing, the first thing, well, I'm gonna ask for representation, and we will sit down and we will try to figure out what it means. Then typically what you would do is then we would write an MOU, we would attach it to the back, signed off by their association and us, I would have it board approved, and so that we come to an agreement as to what it means. Cause I can't figure it out. And so, it's not an issue, but I'm recommending that you approve it, knowing that it's a working document and it's never perfect. But we try, and that if a situation if that arises, this is my interpretation, what is yours, can you explain it to me? And so that, everyone hopefully can come to an agreement as to what it looks like. So, yeah, I'm glad I got before you asked that question, because I can't explain it.
I think that we've just changed it so many times that it's kind of hard to tell at this point.
I think I had a lot of my questions answered earlier. I came in and talked to Carol and Darcy, and thank God Carol was here, because on my drive over here, I'm like, I don't think Darcy's gonna be able to answer any of these questions I have, just because she hasn't been here long enough. The only one, and maybe Shane, you can answer it for me, that I didn't understand was on this coaching salary schedule, in the bullet points on the bottom. It says all coaching and advisor positions filled by non-certified personnel will be on an interim basis. I don't wanna say in dumb people words, but in layman's terms, what exactly does that mean and why is it there, and is it something we still need?
I think the understanding is that all coaching positions are a yearly contract. Why it says,
So my question was, like, if a teacher came in and said they wanted to be the sophomore co-advisor, which I am currently with Haley, does that mean I don't get to do it anymore? Because I'm on an interim basis, because I'm not a classified staff member.
But Haley is.
And Carol said, I don't think that's ever gonna happen, sir. And I said, I get that, but I'm just curious what that line actually means. Because to me, I would read it as an interim basis, meaning you're filling that position until a certified personnel wants that job or fills that
Yeah.
It's like a temporary until.
Yes, it seems
Build up.
temporary to me, that's the way I read it, so that's why I was curious what.
some of the language must be from this, because this is way more bullets than there used to be.
Yeah.
Many years ago. And then they went through that where teachers needed or should have some little bit of, because it's a hiring incentive to offer these, hey, come here and teach English, because we've also got these other ways to subsidize your income, you can coach, there was always these hiring incentives, was always trying, so I think it was in those years when we're trying to incentivize being a teacher and being able to offer them something. That doesn't mean I've never just replaced a coach with
Right.
a teacher. I've been replaced by a teacher a long time ago because they were a teacher and I wasn't. When they hired the English teacher, they just said, well, you're not coaching high school boys basketball anymore, he's going to because you're not a teacher. That's the only incidents I've ever known.
When, Mr. Tate?
That was the only incident I ever knew of that happening, and I'm sure that that's where that's coming from.
Okay, I was just curious, and then, I mean, is that something that we can just take out, like it's not needed, or do we wanna leave that in there?
Well, we can't take anything.
Well, no,
right
I'm just
now.
curious, like, for next, like, is
Right.
that something that,
We can put a
Needs
note there,
to
and
be
when we
in
go to negotiate the contract, there's always cleanup that we're gonna want to do. So I already have a list going,
okay,
and just add that to the list, and can we sit down and, like, can we sit down and maybe hammer out that maternity leave language so that
Right.
we all understand? And then two is, since all our coaching positions are on a yearly basis, maybe the word interim is meaning that, do we have an issue of wording it so it reflects our practice?
I'm not sure when the advisor put it on there.
I don't know, that's just,
Is that an issue because of, okay, just the language? Okay. Yeah, so the advisor, just because the word advisor is up above.
okay,
It's not class advisor,
oh, I don't know.
Like
cause that's
BPA
not in
advisor.
here.
Because we added that one in this one.
That's not,
That's the only reason I think that word, this is the first time I read it.
it was just my example
Gotcha.
of,
But to my knowledge, the only time that I can think that a teacher replaced a current coach was actually me. That was a long time ago.
a number of years we will not mention ago.
24 to be exact.
You shut your mouth, Brenda.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yep.
I know, as a freshman, really hard to pay attention in English. Thanks for that. That's why I failed, I blame everybody here. I had nothing to do with it, so, okay, never mind. I just need there then. Alright. Any other questions regarding the master contract? All the changes are, for the negotiations are on that last page. Pay scale was just redone to reflect the STARS Act. Health insurance, that didn't really change from previous. We did add BPA to the pay scale, just because they have not been paid
Yes.
in the past. The advisors have not been. And then they added cross-country back into the coaching matrix because it was taken out just because there wasn't coaching for, or there wasn't cross-country for so long. Then they put back in, the advisor positions for the pay as well. So, any questions about those? All right, do I have a motion to approve the 2025-2026 master contract?
I will make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 master contract.
All right, so I have first, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
You and Julie. I'm gonna put you both.
Jinx.
All right, do we have any public comment? Board comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right, motion carried. All right, and staff handbook. I don't remember that last. Did we not? No, that was this.
Elementary and secondary.
Never mind.
I'll
Brain's
just,
mush.
I'll just point out, going back to leaves is, so if you look at, you don't have to flip back and forth, you trust me that it says this, but in your master contract in, sick leave, the hours don't match to the staff handbooks. And so it actually cheats the staff member out, so it gives them like 64 hours, where really the master contract, it's 74. We'll go off the master contract, that's the most up-to-date, signed off, agreed to thing, so cleanup that needs to happen, we'll make sure that does, but, you know, I did find that discrepancy one night, and, just wanted to point that out.
Any questions about the staff handbook? All right, do I have a motion to, let me get back to approve the 2025-2026 staff handbook?
I'll make a motion.
Lily has a first, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds, do I have any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alright, motion carried. This one's all yours.
This is one of them.
This is all
Okay.
you.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to introduce Randy Whitman, and
Oh, Randy.
community member that I got to meet last Tuesday. And I was really happy that he came in on Tuesday, because it gave us time to get a few things together and then put together a proposal that I think can benefit our school and community. So I think it's fairly well written, or self-explanatory. Randy's here to answer any questions, as is Derek. But in a nutshell, we have the outside basketball court, which is pretty rough. And Randy would like to volunteer his time, expertise, and materials and equipment to refinish and reseal it. But he'd like to, in addition, he'll bring back the basketball lines, he'll bring back the foursquare lines, but he'll also add pickleball lines. It's a big rage. And we'll also put in holes to facilitate posts for pickleball nets, but those holes will be removable, and we can cap them off, so if there's basketball going on, it's not a safety concern. Randy put together a proposal, and then following it is we as your representative, you know, and with Derek's input, we put together like kind of an understanding of the scope of the work, the scope of the project, and what Randy agrees to, and also what the district agrees to do. So, thanks, Randy, and also thanks to Derek. But like cleaning projects, a lot of times in schools differ for what you can use in residential. Randy's a retired painting contractor, so all those types of materials Derek will run by our guy to make sure that it's in line with, the products we're allowed to use at schools. That was like one of the things I kind of threw in there when I was kind of going through that mental checklist on, and then there's liability things that, need to be addressed as well.
That's very nice. Awesome. Alright. So I have a motion to approve the proposal for the city to finish outdoor basketball court, repaint lines, and add pickleball lines with posts. That was a mouthful. I want you to read every word. I'll make the motion. Julie has the first, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, Julie has a second. Do I have any public comment? Board comment?
I have, just real quick, when school is in session, we are not gonna have the poles up and nets, correct? So then, do we have a spot to put them? Are they yours
That's a good
and you will
question.
put them in when you want to use them?
Everything's gonna be yours.
Okay.
So you're absolutely right. We'll have to have a place to secure them.
and have them accessible.
And then we'll have to, that's
After
actually,
school,
like,
when
how,
people
how would
want
a
to.
community member be able to come on the weekend and have
Right.
access to the polls?
Yes.
We'll
But
come
also-
back to you next month with a.
But also not watching the kids at recess time in that basketball court, that's not something we wanna have up all the time,
Right. Absolutely.
so.
It would probably be down unless people come there with a pickleball purpose.
Right.
Say that earlier.
Logistics-wise.
Proposed pickleball
That's a great logistic thing that we haven't actually checked. We'll have to figure that out.
Any other comments? We appreciate this, that's
Thank
awesome,
you.
thank you.
It's really awesome.
I wanna say, he is wonderful to work with, okay? To come into somebody else's arena, to come and play in somebody else's arena, they always, it's very rare that you get somebody that is willing to work with you. He had some great ideas, great questions, very professional, okay? Rare, okay?
We think we're gonna keep them around too.
I would hope so. I mean, and I sincerely with that, very good at what he does, okay?
Thank you, we appreciate that.
And we appreciate you too, Derek.
Yes.
Well, he showed up tonight too.
And
for
have-
that reason, okay?
All right, any more public, or not public comment, board comment, it's bedtime. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried, thank you. Do we have any reason for closed session?
Yeah.
None? All right, do you have a motion to adjourn the meeting? It is, everyone's broken, 8:25.
I'll make that motion.
Who has the first, or the second?
I'll second.
Claire has a second, do we have any public comment? Any more public comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you, guys.